Alright, another another video. Got one rendering on top of this long one. Anyway, Pyrrho, same old jargon. I wish he would just post his videos quickly in more better order. But anyway, he keeps talking to points I've already addressed like 7 times since he's making his video. So I don't know what's going to be terribly redundant here. Anyway, still distancing himself from the act itself. So I mean, I've equated having kids with like drunk driving. We have laws against drunk driving, not because every drunk driver fails, but because there's a known failure rate. Alright, there's a known failure rate to having children. There's statistical facts about what's going to happen to them. You're just claiming because you got away with it, the law doesn't apply to you. I can't judge your behavior. I can't say you were wrong to drink and drive. And that's just bullshit. My standard applies to everyone. Whether they fail or they succeed doesn't make any difference. Because guess what? Whether you succeed or fail doesn't have a damn thing to do with you. It has to do with goddamn being lucky. And you goddamn know it. So it's just bogus to say I was lucky as your excuse. That's not an excuse. I'm not saying you're my grandfather explicitly. I'm saying for the purpose of metaphor and analogy, it amounts to the same thing. Okay? The end result is the same. He also pointed out somehow I'm agreeing with him because I'm saying life is not, you can't describe it with words like happy or sad. It's just kind of silly. Because you can have dramatic instances of both in a life. The end game, though, would be that you'd say in net maybe I wouldn't have it because the bad outweighs the good, or the 5 minutes of bad, or the 6 hours of bad, or the 7 years of bad outweigh the 80 years of good. You wouldn't pay the price. You wouldn't put the money on the table. You wouldn't incur that cost again if you had to do over again. That's the goddamn point. But you're not going to say your life was shit just because 7 years of it were shit. You're still going to acknowledge that there was some quality shit in there. But yeah, the price was way too high. That's the argument here with the fact that just life in itself, by its structure, the price is too high because you have to impose it. So I'm going to play the last half of this video because that gets to the other issues. He says he built the nest. He just doesn't get it. The nest metaphor is the metaphor for the world. The world is a fucking pigsty. Alright? We are on the brink of economic chaos and destruction. There's all kinds of, even 10 years ago, it was still looking pretty bad. Bush, well, 13 years ago, whatever you want to go, how far back you want to go. Yeah, it was all, you could see the bubble blowing up. But anyway, you can go back 40 years. It's all shit since Reagan. In terms of any kind of sustainable human society. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the nest. The nest is the world. The nest isn't your house. Ugh. I mean, you just can't get anything right. You fucking fart the egg on a pile of dog shit. The egg hatches. It says, "What is this shit?" And you say, "Fix it yourself."
Yeah, no, that's not what I did. Maybe you're thinking about your grandparents. I have continually worked on improving.
Yeah, whatever. Again, this is just as... Yeah, you haven't fixed it, is the point. Okay? You don't have a right to die in place. You don't have all this other crap that you talk about that makes the game fairer. Okay? Fairer. You'll never make it fair. But even fairer. You haven't even gotten to fairer and you're still laying eggs. So your nest is shit.
To figure out, I think, the things that I hadn't figured out and couldn't teach them. And so, fuck you. I put them on a nice little nest. Speak for yourself. It's not like I gave birth to them in New Jersey. I'm from California. Paradise, man.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. People are fleeing California in droves. So even that fails as an argument. But anyway, next.
Position. I think it's disgusting that you blame all the problems that someone would go through on the fact that they were brought into existence. It's disgusting.
No, it would be really stupid to blame all the traffic accidents caused by drunk drivers on drunk drivers. All those fatalities, it would be stupid to blame them on drunk driving. That'd be a ludicrous thing to do. Right? No, it wouldn't be. be the perfectly sensible thing to do. You have to take responsibility for what the thing costs. Alright? And again, especially if it's an imposition. You know, if you're going to be the imposer, you're going to be the life creator, you have to have some sort of documentation, some sort of statement you can make that says, this is why I have the authority to do this. And you don't have any of that. Your excuse is, I have a DNA, I have sperm, therefore I'm allowed to roll dice. Again, I'll go back to the gambling analogy. Alright, your sperm roll the dice. They don't pay the bill. The money isn't your sperm, okay? The money is what you're rolling the dice with. Alright, and that's the fate of this person. And again, you can't just pretend that because you got lucky, you don't have to account for the risk of the game. That's just bullshit.
I mean, it's like if a child is raped by a pedophile, you're going to blame the parent, because the parent, tempted the pedophile. The pedophile, of course, is also to blame in your system, but then again, he's just a bunch of urges. That's just how people are.
Like I said, I'm not the one defending the mediocrity or the shit trade-offs you have to make for the human race. Okay, yeah, that these deviants will be created. This is part of what you're saying is an acceptable price. So it's kind of stupid. I'm blaming the parents for being aggressive enough to think they're in control enough. I'm blaming them for playing God. Okay, for saying, I'm going to perpetuate the game. The game stops if they let the game stop. They won't let the game stop. You're going to use slavery as an analogy here, and I think it's perfectly fine. Alright, yeah, if all these slaves agree not to reproduce, the slave trade ends. They don't even probably have to kill themselves, because they'd probably be whipped to death before they died. Alright, but they could be as uncompliant in producing children. You know, they could make sure the abortions were what they had. But why should it be on them anyway? Why should it be their obligation in the first place? That's kind of bogus. But the point is, it stops if they stop. You won't stop. So I'm a slave. I'm saying you quit making slaves, fucker.
So it was the temptation and the blank slate for sin that the parent provided. You see people in a concentration camp and go, oh, look, those parents, what they did to them. You're a fucking moron if you can't focus in a little bit more.
Yeah, well, I didn't even do that. So I'm saying that the game is fundamentally flawed. It creates the yin and the yang. It creates the Nazi and it creates the Jew. Alright? And it's not going to stop doing that. You can pretend that it's all going to turn out happily ever after, but it's not. Alright? It's going to be the same game over and over and over and over. And you're saying it's an acceptable cost. I'm saying it's an outrageously unacceptable cost. And it's all initiated by your action. You are the aggressor. You're the one playing God. And you have no authority. You have no qualification. You won't even give me a paragraph defining why your opinion of value should trump my opinion of value.
On the goddamn Nazis being a little bit part of the cost.
Taking a shot at it is worth it. And yeah, even if it's completely horrible, well, too bad. You can't get a refund from me.
You can get a refund. You can get a refund. You can take your own life.
There you go. Right. So, let's see. Let's figure that one out. The only way you could take your own life is you'd have to have a reason. So that means you couldn't be refunded the reason. You have to be driven to it, sort of. I mean, there has to be something that compels you to do that. So you've already experienced some threat. To even be able to perceive a future threat, you have to experience some sort of idea of what it is. Alright, so this is just a bogus argument. You can't. There's no practical way you can provide a refund. You're just saying, I'm not only going to impose it on you, I'm going to force you to clean it up. I'm going to force you to end your own life, even after you've been, I've caught you into the momentum game. So I'm going to force you to stop the wheel from turning. I'm going to throw you on a turning wheel. You're going to start running. You're going to realize it's shit. And then to get off, you're going to have to get yourself beat the crap a little bit, as the wheel keeps turning as you jump off. I'm not going to slow the train down. Maybe that's a better analogy. You won't even slow the train down. You're just going to say jump. And then you're going to call that a refund. That's not a refund, asshole. Not even close.
that's the refund you can have. I'm gambling with my life at the time that I conceive.
Well, that's just such a, that's almost saying I was a hero in the war because I signed a piece of paper, you know, that made the rest of the troops run over the hill. I mean, what the fuck is that? You took on the risk of sticking your penis in a vagina. Oh, man, amazing. Amazing. Wow, you're a regular hero. Yeah, you really faced, you faced 30 years of retardation by doing that, didn't you? Oh, no, you can't get retarded by sticking your penis in a vagina. Did you get elephant man disease? No, you couldn't get elephant man disease by sticking your penis in a vagina. I don't think. Let's see. You could have gotten a venereal disease. Now, that's true. But what other risks did you take? Slipping on a bar of soap when you shower afterward or something? Yeah. Yeah, you're a hero.
And then once it becomes obviously an individuated at someone else's life, they can decide.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this is just such bullshit. Yeah, so they can, after I've kidnapped them, thrown them in the trunk, and drove them to the amusement park, and chained them into the roller coaster, give them a knife so they can break the links on their chains and jump off the roller coaster. Yeah, thank you. Great deal. Fuck you.
That is the refund.
Yeah, and you're not going to give that refund. Like I said, all the retards, they're not going to get a refund. All the kids with, you know, that mild, bizarre retardation, you're not going to give them any refunds. So fuck this. This is just bullshit.
And by doing it this way, people that decide they like life don't have to take the refund. They don't have their life.
Yeah, well, they were the ones who weren't going to be deprived if you didn't have them. They weren't waiting in some purgatory somewhere saying, ouchie, ouchie, I need to get born. So again, you didn't rescue them from anything. Okay, you imposed the risk for your own purposes, not because there was any necessity that had to be satisfied. There was no hole in the dike that needed your wiener stuck in it.
Or avoided, you see. And you keep saying, what good would that do? Well, you know, if every slave ever was like, I am...
You know, we already did the slave thing, so I'll jump a little bit ahead. Jumping ahead music.
Pulling down the Titanic. All the people that are on the boat going, it sucks being on the boat. I wish I was just dead. Well, why don't you jump? I want you all to die.
Holy shit, I don't even remember that crap. Yeah, he made some point here that somehow if I jump off the Titanic, I was the one that sank the Titanic, my body weight apparently. Like somehow this is somehow rational to the metaphor. That somehow if I jump off the Titanic gets redesigned and survives the impact with the iceberg. I don't think so. It's not going to create a redesign. The same Titanic's going to be sent out the next day. It's going to crash into the iceberg and sink. So, I mean, you just keep playing this game like somehow you have this control over this game you're playing with other things' welfare. And to say it's anything other than that, this is like this is like a toy you bought at the store. And the toy has a bunch of rats in it. Alright? And you're gambling with their welfare. And you're just saying, well, because most of the rats survive, it's an okay game. But every day a rat gets killed, and every day you force a new rat to replace it, and you're just playing this little game where you're just manipulating these little rats. And that's all this is. And the game doesn't exist if you don't buy the toy. I mean, that's just the truth.
So, the sad part is you're showing just a incredibly ridiculous value system. You think it's a higher priority to blame parents than to blame real criminals?
No, I think it's a higher priority to recognize what an imposition is and recognize when you have the right to do that imposing, what you need to do it. And what you need is some sort of demonstrable proof, some sort of real evidence that you know this is going to be okay. And you know, even if it's not okay, that it's worth it. So you're assigning the risk. You're basically telling somebody, you're picking who's going to live and die kind of thing. You're imposing it all. You're making the game. You're responsible for the game. You're perpetuating the game. So you have to account for the play of the game, how the pawns and the rest, all these things exist because of your philosophy. All right, and so people can argue against that philosophy, just like they can argue against drunk driving. The carnage on the highway exists because people think they have a right to drink and drive. If they stop drinking and driving, there's no carnage. It's not that complicated an argument.
And you were confused about whether I brought you into existence or not.
Well, again, I'm not going to argue that metaphor. If that's what you really believe I believed, again, then that's just one more piece of evidence that you are a preposterous imbecile. It's basically a non-starter. Just as I think it's a non-starter for you to deny the fact that you're gambling with another consciousness's welfare. You're not gambling with your welfare, you're gambling with their welfare. And because you got lucky, you're just pretending it wasn't a gamble. And so fuck you.
And just in general, we're at the psychological point, Gary. You need someone to blame for your existence, and you.
Oh, whatever. It's like, again, it isn't even about my existence, as I've stated before. If it was my existence, then I would just jump off the Titanic and I'd be done with it. But clearly that's not going to solve the problem, because you assholes will keep drinking and driving. You will keep putting people in jeopardy, and I'm going to defend their right not to be put in jeopardy. I have empathy with their circumstance, and I'm going to fight you fuckers, okay? I'm going to do my little mad thing, and I'm going to say, we got to stop these motherfucking assholes from playing this game with other people's lives. We're playing this risk game like they can control it. No, you have no control over it. It's a fucking been proven to be a hairy-ass monster of a game, and you just have no right to initiate it. You have no right to press the start button.
You're trying us on YouTube. Well, I'm not those people. If you had a sadistic ancestor, it wasn't me.
I'm not gonna, like, again, if you can't get the metaphor, if you can't understand the concept, I don't have to find the drunk driver to hit me and kick him in the balls. I can kick any drunk driver in the balls. I mean, really. So fuck you. They're all the same. It doesn't matter. You're all reckless, sadistic, insensitive, arrogant, obnoxious, imposers.